Hi, this is Alex with Maple Leaf Coffee Roasters in Roselle. I'm here today to talk about the June 2025 Club Coffee, a washed coffee from Kenya. Check it out. So as a reminder, the Coffee Club program here at Maple Leaf is something where we bring in a members-only coffee every month, roasted a couple different ways, offer our club members extra information and notes on the coffee in addition to this very YouTube video, and give folks a chance to try something a little bit different than they might normally try. These are things that we don't offer to everyone else who comes through our doors or buys from us online. And we really look for this club to be an opportunity for people to explore and try different things. And for me as a roaster, to try different coffees or roast them in different ways that we don't normally get a chance to try for our normal selection. This month we have what I hope is not going to be a polarizing coffee. Just as a little bit of backstory on me and actually a lot of other coffee drinkers when they really get into coffee, many times there will be one or two coffees that change the way that people think about coffee. They might start with a coffee that is just like they drink coffee every day and they don't really think about it, to trying something that is a little bit different, something that is more of an artisan roasted coffee type of option. And for many folks, myself included, these coffees were African coffees, things that had a very distinctive tone to them, something that was very different than maybe the medium or dark roast coffees, most likely Central American coffees that they had been drinking for most of their lives. And for me, this kind of started in my late teens to early 20s when I started to venture into some local community cafes, places that offered something that was different than what I had been encountering before. And for me and for a lot of other people, these might be like Ethiopia or Kenyan coffees or even a Tanzanian coffee, something that had a very different flavor to it and something that was roasted by somebody that actually put some time and effort into it, not only to roast it, but also the curating the selection of the coffee on their shelves. And for me, some of the fondest memories I have in my late teens and early 20s, just getting into specialty coffee, was with trying something that was an Ethiopian, either a Kenyan or an Ethiopian coffee that had a very different sensibility to it. And what I would like for this month for our club members to be, especially for those club members who don't normally go for these kinds of coffees, to be something that is approachable and accessible, that gives them a sense of this is what a foundational African coffee for a lot of first-time specialty coffee drinkers can taste like, without being something that is inaccessible or offensive, something that really just kind of tries to try something a little bit different on them without kind of scaring them away from drinking this coffee or trying it. So this coffee happens to be a Kenyan coffee. It is a wash process coffee. So what I'm hoping out of a wash process coffee that we get is something that is less acidic, less sharp, less tart than a lot of African coffees that are natural process can be. And the other thing that I did with the coffee this month is that I did a very slow roast, a more slow approach towards the development phase of the coffee, and even a slow approach after the coffee hit the first crack point. So one of the things that you can do with coffee to accentuate some of the tart, sharp, acidic kind of sensibilities of a coffee is that you can kind of push it along a little bit faster, and you can have a shorter development time, and that can choose something that can serve as a way to highlight some of the sharp acidic elements of the coffee. This coffee in specific, I actually probably shortened that development time for both the light, medium, and the dark, or lengthened the development time for the light, medium, and dark roast coffees to about an extra, let's say 5 and 10% of the overall roast time. So as a percentage of the time that the coffee is in the machine itself, we look at that development time as the amount of time, the percentage of time in the overall roast time that it spent in the post first crack period. And normally for me, most of my light roasts, medium roasts, and dark roasts are about from 10 to 12%, 16 to 20%, and maybe 20% plus for light, medium, and dark respectively. This month, the light roast was a 16%, the medium roast was a 23%, and the dark roast was a hefty 33% of that roast development time. And what I was looking to do with this coffee was to give it a more robust flavor, to try to suppress some of the sharp elements that this coffee wouldn't normally have. And it being a wash process coffee, you're going to get something that is much more consistent, even drinking, and have a lower acidity on it too. So I'm excited for folks that might not normally give African coffees a shot because of that acidity, to give this one a try this month and to see some of the signature elements that a great Kenyan coffee can have without having something that is offensive or upsetting to the stomach. So let's dig into the 3 coffees this month too. The light, medium, and dark all have a very signature Kenyan coffee kind of taste to them. There's an herbal kind of tone to it. There's a little bit of like a spice kind of quality as well. And as we move from light to dark, there is a little bit of a chocolatey element in this too. But across all 3 coffees this month, there is not like a very low acidity and a bigger body than you would normally expect from an African coffee, especially a Kenyan coffee too. On the light roast side of things, this one had that signature kind of vegetal quality to it that you normally see out of a light roast Kenyan coffee. A little bit of a kind of lemon hint to this as well. Not a strong citrusy vibe that you might see from a Central American coffee, but it definitely has a touch of kind of a lemon tint and a little bit of a sweetness too. Not an overly sweet like some other African coffees or Central Americans that we get, but it's kind of there in the background. And I find this to be a really pleasant, great example of a light roast African coffee. If you're a person who's been curious about what a great light roast African coffee can be, but you've been hesitant to try one because it can be sharp or acidic, I'd say the light roast for you is the choice for you this month. The medium roast does exactly what you'd expect moving into a more medium roast profile, but we also get that suppressed acidity and a bigger body from the extended development phase in the coffee itself. The lemon hints were still here, but much more in the background, much more subtle. Moved more into a chocolate kind of honey feel as well. I found this to be very easy to drink, very mellow. It's probably the one of the 3 that I drank the most out of the cupping that I did. It's much fuller bodied, really sweeter edge thing here. And it had a nice weight to it when I did swallow that I remember drinking this coffee. It was something that I found very approachable and a great choice for people who maybe generally tend to prefer darker roasts, but want to try something with a little bit more character to it this month. So medium roast, great choice this month. I think almost no matter who you are, if you're trying to just figure out you're not sure between the 3, medium roast is probably a good default option too. On the dark roast side, we saw exactly what a darker roasted coffee generally brings to the table, which is a malty texture, a little bit more of a smoky, chocolatey feel to it. Because this one spent so much extra time in that development phase, but we also tried to balance that with not having too much of a roast profile taste. This coffee does have a weight to it, a thick aftertaste, but it is not one of those types of Asia Pacific coffees for a dark roast where you're tasting a very roast forward sort of flavor. You do get the kind of fuller bodied, but you get a little bit of the kind of syrupy, earthy, malty texture that you see at a dark roast too. It didn't lose a ton of the floral hints that we saw in the medium roast. It definitely doesn't have that kind of veggie sort of feel to it that we saw in the light. So if you heard the description of the light roast and you thought like, I'm just not a person that likes that kind of earthy veggie sort of flavor, but you want something that has some of the signature characteristics and elements of a good Kenyan coffee profile, I'd say the dark roast is definitely the choice for you this month. There is a lot to be said about this having a lower acidity, bigger bodied, chocolate kind of forward. Definitely not like a Central American chocolate here. It's more of a baker's chocolate kind of feel that I think is going to be a great choice for someone who maybe sometimes stays away from the dark roasts because they want something with some character. They want something that has some like less of a roast profile or roast forward sort of flavor profile. So the dark roast is definitely worth a shot this month too. I think between the 3 of these, I don't have a specific favorite this month. I think all 3 of them offer something really exotic and interesting. And I think this will be a really great opportunity for folks that might be interested in what a good African coffee profile type of flavor is going to do, but it's going to be very easy and accessible. So I certainly hope that this month, this coffee is not going to be a polarizing one. I do hope that people that when we sent out the survey for this a couple of months ago to see if this is a coffee that folks would be interested in trying, that maybe we're a little bit less excited about this option, that they give a chance to this one and see if this is something that they can maybe try in the future when we either have on our regular shelves or as part of the club options, something that might have a little bit more of an like a signature African coffee profile that isn't fruit forward either. So really excited for everyone to give this coffee a shot this month. And if you're interested in joining or becoming a member of the club, we do have a wait list, but I'm always willing to add folks onto that list as old folks drop off and new folks come on. Until next time, we'll see you back here for another great Club Coffee video. Take care.